Zombie Apocalypse.
Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is 6scale Economist. Appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to do another market recap video. So in general, this series is probably going to be a series that's going to be once a week, but as I'm scaling these up and have so many figures to get through, I figured let's try and do these every couple of days or every day so we can get through a lot of these figures and get a good understanding of what we think of the market. So the first figure that I want to talk about, which will be the feature figure, is the Mandalorian and Child Deluxe set. So this set retails for $315. It's on pre-order now. Estimated delivery is going to be sometime April through July of next year. So still quite a while away, but I think it's something definitely interesting that we should talk about. So obviously, very popular series. You know, I personally love the show. Imagine most people do as well. I think that when we saw the original Mandalorian get announced, everybody's kind of waiting for this Beskar one with the the armor and the deluxe set that comes with the child and the cradle that the child comes with. And so I think that Hot Toys really knocked it out of the park with this announcement a few months ago. That they kind of gave everything that the fans were asking for in one set, and at what I think is a very reasonable price, $315. It kind of checks off all the boxes. You even get the magnetic jetpack, great accessories. I think it actually comes with two versions of the child, which is great. So just from like a figure standpoint and from a collector standpoint, I think it's a great figure. Great type of fabric used under the armor. It's going to be very posable. I think it just looks fantastic. The jetpack is awesome. Even the flame effects. Flame effects look great. Not any complaints. And obviously, the child is awesome. Great accessory with the carriage as well. The cradle. I think it's just an excellent figure. Now, talking about it from an investment point of view, so this one is interesting. So, obviously, the demand is there. People want this. This is what people are asking for. I will preface it with this. They announced this version. They also announced the non-deluxe version, and they also have the Mandalorian with the older armor. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities out there, which is something that's going to make things a little bit more tricky with the supply side of the dynamic. But I think that this figure is definitely a buy, and it's just another good opportunity of a figure that is going to be widely available, and is something that is it's certainly not going to go down. So if you're worried about losing money on this, I think most people would probably say you're probably safe. Once this figure sells out, it is going to be still in demand, and it's probably this figure will probably be something that once it sells out, when we're talking very far in advance now, probably looking ahead to like a year before it actually comes out and maybe sells out. It will be fine. The thing is, I feel like it doesn't have that high of a ceiling to really go to, any astronomical levels, mainly because the Mandalorian show is here to stay. And, I think they already wrapped season 2. They already got approved for season 3. And it was, I think, figure came out, it was like the 5th most watched TV show right now, and the number 1 of all streaming platforms last month. So, or maybe 2 months ago. So, this show is not going anywhere, so what that means is there's probably going to be more Mandalorians that are going to come out. And if he doesn't have a significant change in appearance, I would imagine that there would be some risk that this figure would just get reissued, which it most likely will, for however he looks, whether it's just minor differences in how he looks in the next show. But either way, usually that stuff is the most hottest in demand. So while this one, a lot of people, it's a great figure and there's nothing wrong with it, if the new Mandalorian gets announced and there's just one little thing that everybody likes more about it, then you're probably going to see a lot of the collectors who bought this one also buy the new one. But some of the newer collectors who 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 didn't get this one, you won't really see them go out and chase this one when they can just buy whatever new one that's going to come out. So in terms of a long-term investment, it's not one that's, something that I personally recommend, maybe buying more than one to, one to rock, one to stock, just to leave it, for a rainy day if you want to sell it and make some money. I think that this one is probably just one that you just grab if you are a collector and a fan, which I think most people probably have already pre-ordered this one. I think I pre-ordered it on the first day that it came out. But it's one that has so much risk to resupply that it's not really one that you probably want to get too cheeky with from an investment standpoint. Yeah. And before we go to the next figure, I actually wanted to quickly go over the spreadsheet that I alluded to in my last video. So basically, I made this spreadsheet, and essentially what it is every Star Wars hot toy that has been released, what movie it's from, what the product number is, its MSRP, and then this column is the secondary market value. Now, how I came up with these numbers, I essentially took an average of what the eBay sold listings for, and I used a time frame of about the last 3 weeks to a month because I feel like that's most relevant. And I didn't include any of the outliers in the data for things that I thought that sold for way too low and are not really indicative of where the market truly is, or stuff that sold for way too high and is also something that I think is unrealistic. So it's mostly just an average of what the eBay sold listings are, coupled with any standout data from the Facebook groups that I think that I'm in, and I imagine viewers of this video are also in, like Tashi Station, 1/6 Scale Collectors, all of those. And so these prices are essentially an aggregate of that. This is just the percent that it is now trading for, or sorry, selling for over retail, and this is obviously in order of what is selling the most on a percent basis versus what it retailed for. So as you can see, the Shore Trooper, retail for $204.99. Secondary market value is about $650, so it's 317%, which is obviously the biggest move that any Star Wars hot toy has had. And what's also important to note in this data is I did not include any figures that are still on pre-order and haven't started selling yet. And I also did not include any figures from The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. This is mainly because I found that roughly like 70% of these figures are actually trading at retail or below retail. So just my general investment recommendations for those figures as a whole. Obviously, if you're a fan, I mean, I have some myself. If you're a fan, obviously buy them. Again, that's really what collecting is all about. But from an investment purpose, in general, those figures from those movies are not great investments. There are some outliers, like Kylo Ren from The Last Jedi, for instance, is one that has done very well. But in general, most of those figures do not do well. Like the First Order Snow Troopers, like I think that those are still in stock on Sideshow, and they're essentially begging for people to take them. They put like a low quantity warning like a month ago, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't even real because it still has this low quantity warning a month later. And so in general, those aren't just great investments. But just quickly going over some of the sheet, and we'll go back to the sheet, and I'm constantly updating it, but some of the things to note: the top 4 figures are all from Rogue One. And I think that comes as a surprise. That should come as a surprise to nobody. This is something that I talked about in my last video. Rogue One is a film that is very highly regarded by most Star Wars fans. Most people like it, especially for the new era of Star Wars under Disney. And 2, a lot of these figures were short printed because Rogue One was a spin-off movie. And so that's why you see, Shore Trooper, K2SO, Death Trooper, and this Death Trooper has also come down a lot since the reissue from the Mandalorian. But that's just an example of why some of these figures are doing so well. No one stands out. This also should not come as a surprise to anybody who's familiar with the market. Is Dark Side Anakin and Light Side Anakin. Both of these figures have done exceptionally well, especially in the last like 3 weeks. They really saw a jump in price, partially because of Captain Rex, partially because of market panic is like that in nature, in that when you see, a bunch of people asking for this in the Facebook group, it suddenly builds demand that, oh, well, if I don't have one, maybe I got to jump on it now before it keeps going up, and it's just kind of market hype that keeps going. But that's just something we've seen. Princess Leia, an older figure. This one also has done very well. It's just, the outfit is awesome. A lot of people like this for whatever display they're going to have. And so it also is a much older figure in the Star Wars Hot Toy universe. So that 204 original retail is something that also helps this figure, given that it was older. And it probably wouldn't retail for that if it was released today, although Bespin Leia did retail for a similar amount, so that could be the case. But either way, very in-demand figure. Again, another older one, Bespin Luke Skywalker. This is a great set. It came with the battle damage and the non-battle damage one. 675 is about what it's going for if you aggregate all prices. You could probably find it cheaper in groups, but this is just a great figure, but again, very old, so a lot harder to come by. Jyn Erso, same thing as the other Rogue One figures. It's just another figure that very much in demand. I know it's the Six Scale Scavengers podcast had a feature video about it, and had raving reviews. Generally, people very much like this figure, and from a movie that they very much like, so that one does not come as a surprise. And then I won't go into all of these. We can talk about more of these in the future, or happy to, pause the video and take a look at some of these. But I think what the main purpose of this data that should stand out to anybody who's looking at this as an investment is not including The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. There are 2 figures that are trading at below what they retailed for. Actually, you call it 3 figures. Boba Fett Deluxe Return of the Jedi. This one is just, they made a lot of Boba Fetts. They made the animation Boba Fett. They made the Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett, and they made the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. In general, it seems like most people had the most issues with the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. Although personally, I don't think that neither the Return of the Jedi or the Empire Strikes Back one is perfect. I do personally have the Empire Strikes Back one. I do think it is a lot better than the Return of the Jedi one. But in general, this figure seems like it's pretty hard to move, and a lot of people that have it, I've seen it for sale a lot in the Facebook group, not too much interest, so that one kind of makes sense. And then the Darth Vader and New Hope is one that, again, they just made multiple Darth Vaders, and this one is just by far, I think, the weakest. The clothing, the cloth fades quickly on that one. There's also something up with his the leather around his arms. It goes too far, and there's just too many other good ones, like the Rogue One that came out. A lot of people say that is the definitive Darth Vader, and Empire Strikes Back one is also very good, although that one does have issues. That one is also very good. And then with the Darth Vader also being reissued with the 40th anniversary packaging, it kind of lost all hope for this A New Hope Darth Vader. But aside from these 3 figures that are trading below retail, every other Star Wars hot toy, not including The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, is trading now at either what it retailed for or above it. And a lot of these are, just to pick one out here, like Darth Maul, for example. Darth Maul retailed for $282. This one hasn't jumped as quickly as I expected it to, but this one is one that I definitely think is a buy now. And if you don't already have it and you have a chance to pick it up at like $310, $320 brand new, I think you definitely should, because a lot of people, this was their figure of the year, and this figure is just a great example of something that comes out retail. It's a DX, like tons of accessories, and we're specifically talking about the one that doesn't come with the speeder bike, because I actually think the one that doesn't come with the speeder bike is the one that is more sought after and has more chances of rising in price. But this is just an example of one that retailed for $282, and it's such a great figure. It's not one that's probably going to be remade or reissued. Now you're going to have different renditions like the Solo one, but in general, this look, which I know to a lot of people is their favorite look of Darth Maul, um, it's just a great figure, and it's a great opportunity to buy something, and if you're not like totally in love with it, then just keep it and just let it rise in price, because right now it's trading at the low end, only trading at 330, so 17% over retail right now. And I think that this one definitely has the potential in 6 months to easily be a $500 figure. Um, and so yeah, that's just touch over on this data. We can talk about this again in the future, but I just think it's super interesting and should be convincing to a lot of people that are more hesitant to get into collecting Hot Toys that it's really not a hobby where you're just throwing money away, but a something where your money can really appreciate. Okay, cool. So the second figure I wanted to talk about, it's funny. I just preached the whole time about not including the sequel movies, but I did specifically mention that Kylo Ren: The Last Jedi was a figure that has stood out in terms of how it has performed from that series, and I think that the Kylo Ren from Rise of Skywalker will be no different. I think that this is a great looking figure. Head sculpt is awesome. Main thing, and the thing that everybody loved about the last one, the cloak is awesome. It fits very well. The way it just lays, the material is awesome. So it's just a great figure, coupled with an awesome head sculpt. Yeah, some might say the hair looks kind of weird. I don't think it looks that weird. I think it looks fine. I probably prefer the Last Jedi hairstyle, but I still think that this one is good. The helmet is awesome with all of the cuts that you see in there. It's just a great looking figure, and if you're gonna pick up just one, two, or maybe three from the sequels, this is one that I think is a great looking figure. Accessories are awesome. Head sculpt is great. Helmet is great. Cloak is great, and it is one that I think will go up in value and will have a very similar trajectory that the Last Jedi Kylo Ren had. Now, the Last Jedi Kylo Ren is probably somewhere between 340 and 380 now. If you want to pick one up, maybe 400 for brand new. And this one, I could see, this one, well, obviously we're very far away from this one coming out, but this one could be a very similar thing. Again, this comes from a movie that generally a lot of people didn't like, very similar to The Last Jedi. A lot of people say Last Jedi is actually their least favorite movie in the whole Star Wars realm. I personally don't agree with that, but a lot of people do say that. And so if you're worried about buying this figure because it's like, oh, it's from a movie that nobody really likes, it's just going to be a sit, nobody's really going to want to buy it, I think you can just cite The Last Jedi as your historical reference and just say that movie was also not popular, and a lot of the figures from The Last Jedi did not do well, but Kylo Ren did do well, and this one is essentially the same figure, if not a little bit better, given how the detail on the head sculpt and the detail on the mask are, I think, really awesome. So I think it's $235, $251. Okay, so even at $251, that's fine. I think that this is a buy, and I think that if you want to pre-order it, fine, pick your favorite place to pre-order. I personally don't pre-order from Sideshow anymore just because of how much they charge for shipping, and there's not really that great of benefits. But find your retail, and I think that this one is definitely a buy. Last figure that I want to talk about is Boba Fett vintage color version. So they announced this one on May the 4th. It was part of their 40th anniversary with Boba Fett and Darth Vader, as we all know. So the Darth Vader we can talk about in a different video, but this Boba Fett is definitely awesome. And I'll just go on and start with this. This one is a buy, for sure. So there's a couple of reasons why, data-wise and just figure-wise. So just looking at the figure, Boba Fett's awesome. Always fan favorite. You get the awesome, Kenner colorways of when the figure was originally, released on Kenner car back in 3 3/4 inch. And so it's a great looking figure. It looks like it's probably, for the most part, the same mold, just, different colors for those retro colors. Kind of similar to what they did when they re-released the animated Boba Fett. But essentially what you're getting here is you're getting a great looking Boba Fett that is going to appeal to Hot Toys collectors and probably also bring in the market of some OG Kenner guys and gals who like the retro Star Wars look. And it comes with cool boxing. I'm not like totally a fan of the boxing, especially because I come from collecting vintage collection and I'm kind of over keeping things in box. And I feel like a lot of people that are going to buy this are probably going to leave it in the box, which I think kind of goes against the point of Hot Toys, but to each their own. But the box is kind of just meh. I mean, I guess it's cool. I would have probably just taken a regular Hot Toys box too. It wouldn't have made a big difference to me. I don't think that's going to be the straw that's going to break the camel's back for anybody. But it's a great looking figure. Now, from the investment point of view, that's where I think it's a lot more interesting. So this figure is $255 for pre-order. It's only exclusive to Sideshow, so unfortunately for all the Sideshow, people who have left Sideshow, you will have to come back if you want to pre-order this one. But at $255, it's definitely a buy. And one of the big reasons I want to cite that is the animated Boba Fett. Animated Boba Fett came out when it was announced. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just a repaint of the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, or Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett, and there's not too much different about it. It didn't even show up in any like movie or anything. Like, I think I'm just gonna pass on it." So like a lot of people slept on it, and then suddenly sells out. Market bills in hand, and then all of a sudden it's selling anywhere from 450 to 500. It's actually been trending down a little bit recently, but it's still above 400, and it's for a brand new one you're probably going to pay 475, 500, maybe 450 if you are going to pay like fair market price. Now, of course, I'm not including like people. A lot of people get deals, and a lot of these deals are in the Facebook group, and those are obviously awesome. But as a standard, if you are going to want to pick this up from eBay brand new, you're probably going to pay 500 for the animated Boba Fett. And I would say this one arguably is going to be even more in demand than the animated Boba Fett. I mean, the packaging for a lot of people, they're going to like it. Kenner throwback colors, exclusive to Sideshow, limit one per person. There's a lot of things where it's already constraining the supply side, and it's something that just very easily, like a lot of people are probably going to sleep on this figure, and then he's just going to sell out, and then he's probably going to immediately go to $350. All in at $255, you're probably going to be spending about $295 to $300 to buy this figure. So even then, if you just want, if you buy it, but then you have second thoughts like, oh, I don't really want it anymore, you'll probably be able to just sell it for $350. Like, I'm sure within a week or two of this figure selling out. So I think that it's essentially like a free option, and in finance when you're trading stocks, options are very expensive, and it's anytime you can get any free option in the world of finance, you take it. And I think that this figure is just a free option if you have money that you can freely invest somewhere. I think it's just a buy. If you're kind of on the fence about it, I would just recommend buy it, keep it, don't open it, wait for it to sell out, and then make your decision if you want to sell it or not based off of what the market's doing. Certainly not going to go lower than what it's retailing for, plus shipping and everything, once it sells out, and I would bet it is going to go higher. So yeah, this figure is also a buy, and yeah, I mean, I pre-ordered one, and I'm think it's an excellent figure. So overall, just recap of these three figures. Mandalorian the Child is, from investment purposes, I'm actually going to say that your money is better spent elsewhere. While it's obviously an awesome figure, and if you are a collector, you're a collector and you just want one, definitely get one. But in terms of like looking at it from an investment perspective, there's better places to put your money to work. And as much of an obvious candidate as this figure might seem to people as an investment, just given how much potential supply for this figure can be and how many different renditions, and there's a lot of risks that this figure kind of just stays stagnant or maybe goes up marginally, whereas you can put your money to work in other places that I think will have a much higher return. Kylo Ren is a buy, and for all the reasons that I cited, and yeah, I think it's just I think it's a great figure, and I think it's a great option if you're looking to pick up one figure from the sequels. And then Boba Fett obviously is a buy as well, as I explained. Yeah, So that's going to do it for today's video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Sixth Scale Economist, and hopefully we'll be doing more of these videos going forward, and we'll try and keep this relatively consistent. Appreciate any feedback, and thanks.